Hello lovely light beings, and welcome to my channel. On this particular episode, I was going to talk about the floods, the flooding of Black American communities and cities. That's what I'm going to talk about. But before we start, I want you to please like this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and also like this video and share it to others who may need it. Don't forget to binge watch my videos. I have over 800 videos on my channel that I've been doing over the years. I talk about the American Aborigines. I talk about mental health and also spirituality. So, yes, love and peace. Hello, lovely light beings, and welcome to my channel. But today I want to talk about the flooding of Black American cities in the Americas. Cities, towns, communities, ancient cities as well in particular. So I wanted to touch on that because it's been going on for a very long time. It's not just a recent anomaly. It's also been happening in the past as well. And it's been done intentionally and it's another way of keep preventing Black Americans, the foundational Black Americans from being able to accumulate wealth. It's one of the tactics that has been used. It's been multiple ways: the fires, the flooding, gentrification, redlining, and of course now the new thing they're trying to do is building the data centers in Black rural communities, where there are farmlands. I mentioned that before. I may do another video touching on that particular topic as well. But these are some of the things that have been used throughout history that has been a big problem in Black Americans being able to gain wealth and be able to pass generational wealth. And oftentimes, people who are affected by these do not get money and no compensation at all. A lot of times, especially in the past, right after slavery and during Jim Crow, I would say majority did not get any form of reparation or any type of compensation for the destruction that this has. And even to this day, even the current things that are taking place, such as what happened with Katrina, for example. A lot of people have been displaced, and it's been happening constantly. But I wanted to touch first on the ancient mounds. And the reason why I want to talk about that is because the ancient artifacts are under these waters, but these old cities. I believe, especially from the research I've done, because I went to the Etowah Mound and I picked up a book on the anthropology, the things that were done while they were excavating. It goes into details on this, some of the things. Some of the people, when they got there, just ransacked the place and just took things, and it wasn't properly excavated by professionals. It just any and everybody went through and just helped themselves. And also, with the floods, it was a way of erasing who the true indigenous people are. Now, what better way to hide, evidence of the American Aborigines being here is by covering up the facts, covering up the evidence with water, And so I believe that's what took place. And from the readings and the research I've done, it's quite evident it's taking place with the fires. I mentioned the fires in the courthouse. I did a video years ago about that. That a lot of these things have been intentionally done in order to erase us, literally, not just figurative of speech, literally, physically eliminate the American Aborigines, the foundational Blacks, from history and making it harder to prove that we've been here. We shouldn't have to. We've been here. It's there. But, to come and erase it is just insane to me. But anyway, I'm going to go and ask ChatGPT some of these questions. I have pulled up some questions from ChatGPT. Hello. Okay, the first question that I asked ChatGPT is, were there ancient indigenous cities flooded near Indian mounds and pyramids in the Americas? And this is the answer that ChatGPT gave me.
Yes, there are theories and archaeological evidence suggesting that ancient indigenous cities, some of which may have been quite advanced, were flooded or submerged in various parts of the Americas. For example, in regions like the Amazon, researchers have found remnants of complex societies that thrived before European colonization, some of which may have been affected by rising water levels or environmental changes. In North America, there are also legends among some indigenous cultures about lost cities or civilizations.
Okay. Lost cities and civilizations. Okay, I'm sorry about that. It cut off again. But lost cities and civilization, however, specifies very widely based on regions and culture in question. The concept of ancient cities being submerged often captures the imagination, but historical and archaeological evidence can be complex. So there you have it. That's what ChatGPT says about these cities as it pertains to the Native Americans. And this, the ChatGPT used the example from South America, but it didn't just happen in South America. It also happened in the United States as well. And a lot of these floods, I know they say natural, of course, in South America, but here in the United States, a lot of these floods were intentional, to hide, ancient artifacts, and, of the indigenous people. And unfortunately, when you had these floods, a lot of the mysteries of ancient knowledge is hidden. And what better ways to do it through water? So, yeah. Okay, this is the second question that I asked ChatGPT. And that is, were these ancient indigenous cities purposely flooded? And this is what ChatGPT says.
There are instances where ancient indigenous cities were deliberately flooded, particularly in the context of modern development or environmental management. One notable example is the construction of large dams, which often leads to the flooding of archaeological sites. In the United States, the construction of the Hoover Dam in the 1930s resulted in the flooding of areas that included indigenous lands and sites along the Colorado River. Similarly, the Glen Canyon Dam created Lake Powell, which submerged archaeological sites that were significant to the Native American tribes in the region. In South America, the construction of dams in the Amazon basin has also led to the flooding of ancient settlement sites, affecting indigenous cultural heritage. The Belo Monte Dam in Brazil, for instance, has raised concerns about the impact on local communities and archaeological sites. While these examples represent modern actions leading to the flooding of ancient sites, they highlight the tension between development and the preservation of indigenous history and culture.
Okay. So you have it. ChatGPT said that a lot of these sites have been purposely flooded, the ancient sites, the ancient indigenous sites. So there you have it. Well, I'm going to share with you all some videos about the floodings that took place. But this first video I found to be quite interesting. Very amazing information. But this particular person is off of TikTok, and he did a really good research about the Tennessee. of the ancient American Aborigines in Tennessee. And so I wanted to share this with you all.
Yo, somebody's been lying, but we're about to get to the bottom of it. They flooded the towns. Did you know that? Have you ever heard about all the towns in America that have been flooded? Well, they flooded a lot more than you've heard of. And what's hiding underneath is shocking. The devil doesn't sleep. Now wake your ass up. According to the Army Corps of Engineers, the U.S. has 91,804 dams across all 50 states, Puerto Rico, and Guam. God damn. So here is a map of the North American dams. Pay real close attention. Pay real close attention. Here goes a map of the reservoirs. Pay real close attention. So in my book, I speak of a few sites that were flooded. All right, we're going to talk about one in particular, but there's many of them. But watch this. Many articles exist today, as well as people who have spoken on the topic of the Egyptian temple that was found in Tennessee. We now know that accrediting this temple to Egyptians instead of ancient Americans may possibly be an incredible disservice. We know this because we are aware of America's ancient history and how the wisdom began here and then spread to the rest of the world during a time when America held sway. All right, so this is an Egyptian temple that was found in Tennessee with Egyptian artifacts and things of that nature, right? I don't know, so tell me what you think. If you find Egyptian artifacts and architecture, is that something that you would turn into a historic location or something that you would flood under the water? Well, in 1933, the TVA, which is the Tennessee Valley Authority, held a conference, which included university representatives and agencies of the government. Their goal was to survey the land of the original inhabitants of America in order to declare exactly which sites would be intentionally submerged after the Norris Dam's completion. Even more interesting, all right? This site is ultimately known as Cox Mound, and the excavation project revealed 29 mounds, with 17 of them containing prehistoric structures, and they flooded it. The articles that they found were documented to be typical of the Mississippian mound builders. You also have the Ohio Stone Pyramid. This pyramid was broken down and they used the stones to actually build the dam. Okay? Now you remember this map, okay? This is dams in North America. Look right here. There's no coincidence that that matches the Mississippian mound builder location, right? The mass amount of dams and reservoirs in this area match perfectly with the Mississippian culture, right? And I just showed you two sites that were flooded, right, by dams, man-made dams flooding these two sites that I just showed you, prehistoric sites with temples and pyramids in America. So if we have 91,000 plus dams in America, and I just showed you that they've broken down stone pyramids in America to create dams, and now we know there's 91,000 dams. Imagine how many of those dams were created by ancient architecture that they broke down and disassembled and then reassembled as a dam. It gives a whole new meaning to wade in the water, because we might need to walk with effort through water in order to find the truth. Wade in the water.
Okay, you guys. Well, this is the third question that I asked ChatGPT. I asked ChatGPT about the Black Americans specifically, the ancient Black Americans. And this is what I asked ChatGPT. I asked, were the ancient Black American cities flooded in the United States? And this is what GPT says.
Yes, there have been instances in the United States where communities, including those with significant African American populations, were flooded or displaced due to development projects. One notable example is the construction of the Tennessee Valley Authority, TVA dams during the 1930s, which resulted in the flooding of several communities, including the African American community of Thebes, Tennessee. Additionally, urban renewal projects in the mid-20th century often disproportionately affected African American neighborhoods, leading to displacement and loss of homes. While these instances may not specifically refer to ancient cities, they do highlight the historical patterns of flooding and displacement that have impacted African American communities throughout U.S. history. Overall, the history of flooding and displacement is complex and
Okay, so you have it. Um, it there has been some floodings there, and I find it interesting that the same thing they do to the they did in South America, they're doing here as well. We're indigenous as well, and we've been here, and yeah, so I just wanted to share that with you guys, um, and I would like to see what you all think about it.
So apparently not even a flood can wash racism away. Because when the Mississippi River broke loose in 1927, whole towns were drowning. Black people didn't get rescued. They got rounded up, put in camps, and told to be grateful for the help. Yeah, but help came with a price. The Great Mississippi Flood of 1927 wasn't just water. It was exposure. More than 600,000 people were displaced. And in the Mississippi Delta, that meant mostly Black families. Generations of people tied to that land by force, by labor, by blood. The river didn't discriminate, but the response sure did. The Red Cross came in like the cavalry for white people. They got boats, clean blankets, warm meals, and evacuation plans. Black people, they got barbed wire and work assignments. So let me paint this clearly. Black families who survived the floods were forced into relief camps that looked suspiciously like prison yards. You couldn't leave without permission. You couldn't eat without labor. And if you complained, well, that just meant that you weren't grateful enough for your ration. And this wasn't rogue behavior. The Red Cross oversaw it. Federal officials monitored it, and nobody stopped it. People were literally being worked for free to rebuild the levees that had just wiped out their lives. And if you're wondering how that was legal, well, it wasn't. But when has legality ever protected Black life in America? Here's where the sarcasm comes in like real quiet. They documented it like it was humanitarian excellence. Newspapers praised the organization. Red Cross reports called it successful. Meanwhile, people were sleeping in filth, rebuilding a state that would still call them a second-class citizen the moment the water dried up. The NAACP tried to sound the alarm. So did Black journalists. But America was too busy patting itself on the back for saving the people that it never intended to free. This wasn't a mistake. It was a blueprint. Disaster hits. White comfort is prioritized. Black pain is managed. And we're still seeing the ripple effects. From Hurricane Katrina to COVID responses. To who gets FEMA checks and who gets left in the heat. So whenever somebody tries to say the Red Cross has always been neutral, remind them that neutrality in this country often means complicit. The 1927 flood didn't just show us rising water. It showed us the floodline of America's conscience. And let's be honest, a whole lot of people were never meant to be saved.
White colonizers didn't like sharing things, and they knew the quickest route to gentrification was to completely submerge cities underwater. So we're going to discuss the 6 Black towns that have been buried because Black History Month is important. And I am late because my children keep bringing home the plagues, and no one is more sorry about that than I am. So by the late 1800s, there were many Black towns that were thriving. It was still tough post-emancipation, but they were coming together, they were bonding and creating these flourishing communities. Amber Ruffin covers this phenomenon of the disappearing Black towns. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most well-known spots, but probably not the well-known history of Oscarville, which was built in Forsyth County, Georgia, under what is now known as Lake Lanier. Oscarville was born out of the post-Reconstruction era. Not all of the residents were Black, but most of them were. And by 1910, there were 1,100 Black residents living there. 58 of them were landowners. Over 100 were renting farms to grow crops on. It was a mostly agricultural community. They were well known for the production of their poultry, and the area was also a recreational area for boating. And as was the case back then, all it took was for a group of white people to accuse a group of black people, and an angry mob ensued, and the town was burned down. Thousands of people fled in fear for their lives because their entire livelihood had just been burned down to the ground. In the 1950s, roughly 40-ish years after the white people pushed the black residents out of Forsyth County, out of their small community of Oscarville, the Army Corps of Engineers built Lake Lanier, which resulted after a dam was built, and it's like a whole process involving hydroelectricity that I'm not going to get into today. Whatever wasn't burned in 1912 in Oscarville was eventually flooded over, so remnants of the town still exist today under Lake Lanier, and that is why I would never willingly go swimming in Lake Lanier.
Well, I'm glad you all got a chance to see the two videos about the floodings that took place in the 1900s, the early 1900s. As you can see, it still happens to this very day. I was going to do the current floodings that's taking place today, such as Hurricane Katrina, but I'm not going to have enough time on this video. I might do another video about Hurricane Katrina, because that is one in itself, especially with the movie and everything that's came out about this particular catastrophe that took place, But I also want to share with you all some more things. Well, to the right of me, I put up another interesting find that I found that I was just Googling, and I thought it was quite interesting. It had here, what are the 5 black Indian tribes? It mentioned what are the 5 black Indian tribes, and it listed them. I was really shocked. So if y'all look to the right, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, and Seminole. Just wanted to mention that to you all. They're finally showing it on Google, and I think it was talking. This particular site is talking about Dawes records of the 5 civilized tribes. I just thought it was interesting that Google listed it. Oh, and I forgot to tell you that clip that I just showed you. It was the Dawes. It's the archives.gov, which is a government site. But anyway. Now I want to show you the picture off to the side. The next picture that's right next to me is an article that I found that was quite interesting. It's called "The Fight to Stop the Erasure of Historic Black Towns." I thought this was quite interesting article, and I wanted to make sure I share this with you all. And I thought, y'all want to check it out. It's under the Capital B website. You may want to check it out. I thought this was an interesting article. And it's written by Aaliyah Wright. I think it's Aaliyah Wright. And so it was published on April the 7th, 2023. So you may want to go and check it out. It says only 30 historic black towns exist today. Activists are working to turn the tide. So check out that article. It's a great read. I got a chance to skim through it, but I just thought it was a great source that you may want to look at to learn more about the black towns. Alrighty, now I wanted to share with you all the picture, which is also to the right of me. So the picture is from the same article, the Capital B article that I was telling you about. In the picture is the mayor and councilman of Hobson City, Alabama. I thought this was interesting. I wanted you all to get an up-close view of this picture. And it says under the captions, it says the mayor and councilman of Hobson City, Alabama poses for a photo. In 1902, Hobson City is one of the handful of historic black towns founded after the Civil War that was survives today. And this is under the Heritage Art Heritage Images via Getty Images. So, yeah. Now, this is going to be the conclusion of my video. Well, now we're at the conclusion of my video. I think this is going to be the end. I was going to try to touch on the Hurricane Katrina and talk about the more modern day catastrophes that's been going on, and some of the more floods about what's currently going on. No, I don't think I'm gonna be able to have time with this video because I think this is getting lengthy. But I hope you all enjoyed. I just wanted to go over some of the cities that this flooding took place now, such as Oscarville. I'm in Georgia. Oscarville, it happened in Oscarville in order to make Lake Lanier, and it has been in many cities across the nation, and it's oftentimes not spoken about. And the guy that I shared you in the video, he talks about Tennessee flooding of the ancient cities, and so I believe it's Thebes, and some of these cities have so much history and so much wealth of information and knowledge that's being lost. And I think being aware and knowing about it is going to be key for all of us. And also, that's why I say go visit the mounds, go visit the pyramids, connect with the ancestors. That's a part of our healing process, the healing journey of getting better as American Aborigines, because we lost so much. And we have to keep what our ancestors have fought hard to keep. But yeah, I would love to see what you all think about this video. Do you what do you think about the I guess the ancient cities? Do you believe there are ancient cities that have been flooded in the Americas? I believe it has been. I know that's been happening in South America, and it's also been happening here. A lot of times it's not mentioned over here, but it does. And yeah, but please like this video and don't forget to subscribe. But before I let you go, I want to also mention to you that to binge watch my videos, you guys. I have over 800 videos on this channel. I talk about the American Aborigines, I talk about mental health, and I also talk about spirituality. And so I put these up to help you guys. I'm a mental health therapist, and so I thought putting these videos would be helpful for people like me who are going through the process of rediscovering who you really are, truly are. Also, I have two stores, the Psychology Essence store, and there I have my mental health digital download journals there, and I also have the Purpoz Healing Art store. I have products on there as well. And don't forget to visit my blogs and also my other social media pages. I have an Instagram, I have a TikTok, I also have, YouTube, of course, which you're here, right here, and also I'm also on X, of course, and also trying to think of the other one, Lemon 8, and I just put that one up, and Threads. I was trying to think of Threads as well. So yeah, there's a few other places that I am at, and that's my name. And I'm in the process of doing a Patreon. I'm still working on it, so I'll let you guys know when I'm done, because I'll be starting to have members people who are interested in getting membership to join there as well. But till next time, love and peace, you guys. And please let me know what you think, and don't forget to share this video to those who you feel like needs it. I'll talk to you guys next time. Love and peace. Bye-bye.